I've been working with the team in Ukraine around open data for the last 2.5 years. In that time, I've seen data being opened up that nobody thought would be open. I've seen leaders coming through, not just in central government, but also within the cities. And finally, I've seen startup businesses starting to be created through things like the Open Data Incubator and Challenge program.
Ми досить часто обмінюємося досвідом з іншими країнами в сфері розвитку відкритих даних. І на сьогоднішній день Україна досить непогані показує результати в цій сфері.
If you would like to drive open data in your country, you only need one leader in the government who will be able to drive this change. In Ukraine, State Agency for Government is a true leader who persuaded other ministries to publish data and be more transparent.
The international community has a lot to learn from Ukraine in terms of the level of political leadership that's been expressed from the very top, as well as different levels of government that have, decided to adopt the Open Data Charter, for example, then also make strategic investments in building teams within the public sector to be able to coordinate this whole of government approach. But what Ukraine has successfully done is to be able to build a cadre of leaders across the public sector, and then at the city level, we're seeing the same happening with city officials that also have the mandate given to them by their elected leaders. And so we have a lot to learn from that type of interjurisdictional collaboration and coordination in Ukraine. And I think that this is something that other parts of the world, including Canada, to be honest, has a lot to draw from.
If in European countries or US open data processes, initiatives started from the grassroots initiatives and then it went to the national level. In Ukraine, on the local level, open data initiatives started from the top, from the governmental national level.
I think it's really interesting how different stakeholders in Ukraine are working together in open data field. For instance, government agencies might work with data journalists on some interactive projects, or some ministry can work with business. I think that's a good example of true open data ecosystem.
So I think that Ukraine has done a wonderful job of bringing together government, civil society and business to collaborate around their open data effort. That's, for me, head and shoulders above some of what other countries have done.
Open data is helping to address corruption in Ukraine in a number of ways. It does this through increasing the cost of participating in any kind of illicit or corrupt activity. For example, public officials must declare online their interest in any assets in the Ukraine and overseas. And open and public procurement practices also increases more competition and makes it a lot harder for businesses or individuals to engage in any corrupt or unscrupulous activities.
You can see the benefits of that partnership in the progress that they've been able to make in such a short space of time. The fact that they jumped 23 places in the Open Data Index last year, up to 31st. I mean, that's outstanding. And that sort of momentum is only possible through that partnership. So if I could say one thing to the international open data community that they should be learning from the efforts in Ukraine, it's that. Focus on those partnerships. Focus on the softer stuff. Make sure that there is that healthy tension and dynamic between government and the people outside to make sure that everybody's effort focused on solving problems that mean something.
Opening data is a continuous process and takes patience to have a success. Only a few years ago, Ukraine didn't have achievements like it has now. Ukraine is the first country in the post-Soviet space that joined Open Data Charter. Ukraine has strong policy which drives opening the data across all government bodies.
What is different in Ukraine is that there is a lot more urgency. And open data is one of the ways that could help us to build a more sustainable, more safe, and more prosperous society. And we think we don't have time. So we're very hungry and angry to get quick and solid results. So this is what makes Ukraine the perfect playing ground for open data.